Shupu Shonda, and welcome to Two Maths Stuck in Conversation. My name is Matthew Hector,
And I'm Matthew Gallant.
and this is where we talk kak, prat, or nonsense talk, or shit talk, and that's what we're good at. We are two UCT students stuck in quarantine South Africa. Plug our Instagram.
You can find us at Two Maths Stuck in Conversation on Instagram. You can also find our videos and audios podcasts on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. Please go check out the episode last week. That was episode 13. We spoke about productivity.
We spoke about understanding.
Oh yes, I was about to get to the understanding. We did speak a bit about productivity. We spoke about understanding and what it means to understand something really, and how to understand something deeply.
Yeah. Today is the 29th of July. It's going on 10 to 10, but late today, surprisingly. I blame myself because supper went late. Yeah. I'll get into why supper was late. But let me count us in. Are you ready?
Yes.
1, 2, 3. Dun dun!
Just before we continue, Hector forgot to mention we have guests on today, so stay tuned for that. We're gonna start with the lockdown recap. Right now in South Africa, there are 459,761 cases of coronavirus, of which 287,313 have recovered and 7,257 people have died due to COVID-19. We give these numbers as little time capsules so that we can look back and see, oh, that was the situation like back in the day.
Indeed.
So let's start with the recap, the usual music recap. Hector, what you listening to?
I am listening to her. That stands for something I don't remember what. Something about representing herself. And
nice. She has a song with Ed, my boy Ed Sheeran.
Does she?
Yes.
I'm listening to her music and I can't find a song that I don't like. And
maybe try the one with Ed.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what I'm going to do.
Because you hate Ed so much, I'm pretty sure you will love the Ed song.
I will say well done her, and well done Ed for finally making a song I like, if that's the case.
Wow.
I am able to change my opinions. That's called progress. Other than that, she did this MTV Music Award performance. It's a song that she hasn't released yet called Anti This, Anti That. I am so for that song. It's been stuck in my head for the past few days. I can't get it out of my head. What are you listening to, friend?
I'm trying to remember better times, happier times. So I've been listening to a lot of music from when we were in matric. And I've been listening to some Boer Bosch for the Afrikaans people. There's two songs that I've had on repeat, which is called Swans by Uncle Bob. And this other song called The Great Escape by Patrick Watson, both featured in the Grey's Anatomy soundtrack. Great tunes right there. But I've been listening to a lot of music on Shuffled, and various curated playlists on Apple Music. It's not too much music listening on my side.
I guess, yeah, because you usually only listen to music when you are working.
Indeed, and I used to listen to it when I used to, go out to campus, in my morning car rides. But I don't have it anymore, so yeah, the music listening has decreased.
Your parents still working from home?
Indeed, they're working on the weekend like usual.
You've been listening to some Drake.
I'm always listening to Drake. Icon. He has 2 new songs, and surprisingly, I haven't heard them yet.
I haven't heard them either. I didn't even know that. Ooh, that might be terrible.
I heard DJ Khaled.
That might be terrible because DJ Khaled.
Exactly, and so now I'm very apprehensive. I'm not sure if I want to hear them.
As far as DJ Khaled's songs go, 1 out of 10 songs I like or can at least tolerate.
Like what?
I can't think off the top of my head right now. That being said, what are you watching?
Dude, what am I not watching? Let's start with a very good film. Probably the best film I've seen in a while. is the two popes. This film was nominated for best screenwriting. And it stars Anthony Hopkins and this other guy whose name I can't remember as the two living popes, Pope Benedict and Pope Francis. And it talks about the story about how Pope Francis wanted to retire, and so did Benedict, and they wanted to retire at the same time. And Benedict basically convinces Francis to sort of stay in the church, not retire, so that he will eventually become the new pope. And it's interesting. It's like 2 hours long, and they are just talking. And
Is
let
it
me
a
tell you, the time
reenactment?
flew. It's not so much a reenactment because obviously I don't think you have access to the dialogue between the two of them. So most of it's probably fictionalized, but the story itself is true. And I think everyone should watch it. It's just two guys basically speaking for 2 hours and 5 minutes. But I will tell you, it's very gripping and very intriguing. And I sat there and I was surprised I'd been sitting down for 2 hours because I thought I was only there for like an hour. So quick did the movie go. Very, very good stuff. Have you heard
Indeed.
of Space Force?
Of course, I've heard of Space Force. It's all over Netflix. It's the new Steve Carell series.
Yeah,
Uh,
everyone hates it.
yeah, that's
Um,
because they're comparing it to The Office, I hear.
I liked it. I actually liked Space Force. I'm not saying it's the greatest show ever, but
But
I'm
then
like,
again,
it was
you weren't the biggest fan of The Office, were you?
I didn't. Okay, that's not true. I didn't watch The Office. I only watched The Office season one. Um,
Yeah, and I think
you
I
know,
forced you to watch the finale.
you watched me. Yeah, I watched the finale, and the finale wasn't bad. But Space Force was like entertainment. It was like good entertainment. There's 10 episodes. I like the actors in it. I like the humor. I like the gimmick of having the Space Force.
The
It's
first
just
trailer was
fun.
very compelling, and the second, like, official trailer made it seem boring. You know, like when the trailer looks really good, but the movie then isn't so good, or the series isn't so good. The second trailer made me
Suicide
think
Squad.
it's, yeah, pretty much.
Mm.
Other than that, so you say it's good. You recommend it?
I say if you want something to turn your brain off to and watch while you eat your food, Space Force is the show for you. John Malkovich, absolutely brilliant in that show. I love him so much in that show. Absolutely great. What else have I seen? I watched this other Netflix film called The Lovebirds, um, starring Kunal and Issa Rae, Kunal Nair. Um, and it's not great. Don't waste your time watching it.
Good to know. Good to
um,
know.
Good to know. And I've still been watching Hotel, which is Afrikaans for hotel, which is this
Ooh.
Afrikaans show I'm watching. It's like a little soapy kind of spoof on The Office because it's like a mockumentary. Everyone should check it out. It's on Showmax. That's me. That's
What
me.
about the end of the world?
I only watched one episode and I just didn't find it appealing.
Okay. I wanted to watch Avatar: The Last Airbender. I used to watch that when I was in
Whoop whoop, great
primary
show.
school, and I tried to watch it now. I watched the trailer or something, and I was like, this was definitely. I found this incredibly interesting when I was in school, but I just cannot watch this again. So I thought, okay, I'll watch a summary video. A few minutes in, I was like, nope, I can't watch this either. So I'm glad I found it entertaining when I was a kid.
Why
I
can't you watch it?
it seems really boring to me now, and I don't remember the storyline, so I thought I'd at least watch the summary to remind myself of the storyline, and I couldn't even sit through that.
Dude, that's just sad because everyone I know watch Avatar The Last Airbender still watches Avatar The Last Airbender. It's so good. It's like kids' TV
I
that's
think
not fair to realize kids are smart.
if I didn't watch it already, I would definitely watch it again. But I remember lots of snippets of it, and I just don't want to go through it again. It seems like a
I
very slow
occasionally
series.
I occasionally still rewatch the finale where Aang like goes all full Avatar mode and then has all the elements come around him. He's in like this air ball and the water comes around him and the rocks come around him and the fire. It's amazing. Point is, I love the show.
I thought Avatar was the Avatar, like he's someone who knows all four bending.
Yeah, that an avatar is someone who
Then
has
why
the
is it called
capabilities.
Avatar: The Last Airbender?
Oh my gosh, you really don't remember the story, do you?
No.
The avatar is someone who can bend all four elements. So every person besides the avatar can only bend one element. That can be earth, um, wind, or air,
And
and
fire.
fire, and water. Earth, wind, and fire, and water. But the avatar can bend all four. And the reason it's called Avatar: The Last Airbender is that the Fire Nation decided to go um, become a dictatorship and take over the entire planet and killed all the Airbenders so that there wouldn't be an Avatar anymore because the next Avatar would be an Airbender. They knew it. And without an Avatar, there'd be no one to stop them from ruling the world, basically.
Oh, I
So that's why it's
see.
called The Last Airbender because Aang it just happened to be the Avatar, managed to escape the Fire Nation sort of attack on the Air Nation.
Cool, 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 cool. I watched Frozen 2 a few days
How
ago.
was it?
It was on a South African TV channel called Mnet. They do Sunday night movies. Frozen 2. I forgot that the original Frozen is very musically. It's a musical, basically.
Do you want to build a snowman?
Indeed. So when I watched Frozen 2, I was like, can you stop breaking into song? Like every few seconds, please. But I noticed that they put a lot of lessons into it for young kids, which I think a lot of young kids need to learn, like about
Like what?
um pushing through when times are tough and
Because the tough times never last.
no, Roland. Anyway, what's mine on this list? I watched a movie called I Am Jonas. It's a French movie on Netflix. Um,
Ooh.
and there's obviously subtitles. It's I don't want to say it's some kind of groundbreaking revolutionary story, but it's definitely a story that I haven't heard before. I'm gonna just I'm gonna spoil it, so if you don't want to hear about it, I'd actually say still go watch it. The composition is really great. The use of color in that movie is amazing.
I love
Um,
technical stuff, so this is making me interested.
yeah, and the color, and the scenery. Not so much the scenery, more so the color. The way they do the contrast. Anyway, it's about this boy or this man who's troubled. He has a troubled past because when he was a boy, he fell in love with this new boy, and obviously it's an LGBT movie. And they went out one night, and they were basically abducted. They were both abducted, but the boy who's troubled was the one who managed to escape, and he basically was helpless in trying to save his boyfriend.
Wow, this is dark.
Yeah, it made me feel very uncomfortable because I could almost feel the emotions that he was feeling and the anxiety that he had. So, it made me uncomfortable. And then I watched a movie called Peppermint, 2018 movie. It's just an action movie. It's just an action movie. And it's one of those okay, dogs. Jeez. It's one of those gender replacement movies. So now it's this woman who lost her family and now she's getting revenge.
So, like Taken.
Yes, indeed. Then we want to start a new segment called Books Recap. Cause I'm not much of a reader, but
Neither am I.
I think it's something that it's really important, that we read.
Mm. Mm.
I think I really need to do it because my vocabulary, not so much my vocabulary, my spelling has gone to absolute because of the autocorrect doing all the work for me.
So you've become lazy, basically.
Basically, and it's on my Mac now. Autocorrect. I mean, it's always been on my Mac, but I use them. I haven't been using my. I mean, I've using my Mac for essay writing a lot, so I'm not being able to exercise my spelling. And I'm currently reading I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. It's a Maya Angelou novel. It's actually a biography. Um,
Why
it's a good
does
book.
the cage bird sing?
I'm not there yet. It's a metaphor, though, I believe.
No spoilers yet.
It's one of those books that people will say you must read. So, I will give you my review. Not that it matters. You should read it regardless. Now, Grant's interesting learnings. There is what on it? Say it. Say what there is.
Do I have an interesting learning?
No, Grant, you
I
don't.
don't think I don't think I have one.
For Tech
That's
Update, I
interesting.
just want to quickly mention that on August 5th, we'll have Galaxy Unpacked. They're apparently going to be unveiling the S30. I don't know what they're doing,
What
Samsung.
happened? What
I don't
happened
know.
to S21?
We're counting in tens now. We're counting in tens.
Yeah,
And then September
S30.
8th is the official iPhone event date, apparently. And
It's probably gonna be like WWDC.
October 27th, we're going to see new iPad Pros, the first silicon-based Macs, and possibly Apple Glass, which is like augmented reality glasses, kind of like Google. What was it called?
Google Glass.
Google Glass. Okay.
Yeah.
What are you excited for that?
The S30. I want to see what Samsung can do. They do like to push screens and cameras, so I'm interested.
They just
For
released
that.
the S20 though, didn't they?
Yeah, I feel like it's quick because the S30 just came out in like the beginning of the year. And now it's a pretty big update for them.
Maybe it
Camera
was.
wise.
Maybe this is going to be a Note event.
It probably is the Note event. It's time for a new Note. The iPhone event. I haven't been listening to the rumors because I want to be surprised by Apple.
So you don't want me to give you some of the rumors?
I don't want any of the rumors.
Because of the things I look at on Reddit and the things I Google, I get notifications for all the rumors.
You see, I don't want to know because I'm gonna get excited for the rumor, and then I'm gonna get disappointed when it doesn't happen. You know, so.
Other than that, we actually have some time. And we've actually got a very content-filled episode because we've got some guests on for this episode, but we'll talk about that in a second. Why don't you tell me how your workouts have been going, or is there anything interesting going on at home?
Workouts today. I switched up my running route, which is nice. I've been meaning to do that.
No, not publicly.
Let's not disclose where I'm running, but I have switched up my route, which is nice. Nice for
you said you
change.
ran 12Ks. Was it today?
I ran 12 today. 12 glorious Ks.
You are insane. I'm gonna start running myself.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. Why are you gonna start running? Tell the audience why you're gonna start running. I'm excited.
I used to run when I was in high school. Used to run once a week, and
run after the boys.
No, and I mean yes, but no. And one of the reasons why I want to run now is because I just miss it, and I want to get outside. I want to get my body worked up and hot, and I just want to be active, I guess. I miss it. I feel like I can push further than what I could when I was running now.
What did you do before? What was like your max distance?
I think the max distance I did was maybe 6 or 7 Ks. I stopped early because I would only run once a week, and
that
then
sounds not that great.
If ever I got sick, or if it was raining, or if there were exams, I would stop. So there would be periods of months when I would run and months when I wouldn't run. So I wasn't able to make any proper progress.
So what's the goal right now? What's the goal?
I want to at first just get back to what I was able to do, and then take it from there, I guess. And eventually I'll meet up with you. And by meet up, I mean 2 meters away. Hi, how are you? And then bye.
I told Hector I'm going to pace him. We're going to do a 10, and we're going to do it at least 5 minutes 30.
Okay, I'll see you in 2 months, 3 months, maybe 4, maybe 5.
That's the goal. I'm going slow because
I'll see you in December.
See you in December, wow. But I'm going to pace Hector when he's able to. I'm excited for this.
Speaking of December, now that we've seen some corona stats, where do you think we'll be in December?
In our house.
Really? Still?
Right. Yeah. Look, university update. Which, pam, we're moving to the uni update. Okay, Hector, countdown. 1, 2, 3.
Oof! Yeah, no, it's hectic, eh?
I'm not going back. This is the uni update, for those who don't know.
When are you going back?
I don't know, but we got an email today, and the email said, we're not going back. By the way, myself, I'm a second year medical student, and Hector is a
second year information system student.
Yes, and because we're in lockdown, and the coronavirus pandemic, there's a lot of discussion about who's going to go back to campus and when and whatnot, and health sciences and engineering and the arts have to sort of go back because all those degrees have sort of a practical component to it. But we were told in an email by one of our course conveners, we're not going back, as second year medicine students, and
What about the other years?
that's
First,
sad.
third, fourth?
Well, sixths are back. The 6 years are back, so they need to be back so that they can leave the system, by the end of the year. And the fifth and fourth years are going back. I don't know about me. I don't think I'm gonna go back, which is kind of sad because that means I'm not gonna be able to see some of my friends until next year. And I didn't say a proper goodbye. It's sad.
I think you and I and a few other people are the only people who have that mentality, because everyone else is still seeing each other, they're still going out, they're still not social distancing, they're still not wearing masks, and I'm kind of over it because they're not going to change no matter what. So
Look, I think in the end, it's a decision you make, and I want to protect my family. You know, as much as I possibly can in these times. And so I have to play my part. My part is staying at home, social distancing, wearing a mask, and trying not to be part of the problem.
indeed.
We are like the biggest respect you can pay all the health workers that everyone celebrates on Instagram and Facebook, saying like, "Oh my gosh, the nurses and the doctors, they're all doing so much and they're working so hard." But if you really want to respect them, forget Instagram. Just stay at home if you can. You know what I mean?
Look,
That's the biggest difference you can
we
make.
can sum it up this way. If you have to go out for some reason, then I guess you have to keep your distance, wear your mask, sanitize, etc. I saw this meme, which obviously means it's not necessarily backed up by fact, but sometimes memes are, so take it with a grain of salt. That said, coronavirus numbers are up. People don't want to wear their masks. A lot of people are dying from coronavirus. Our IQ average globally, though, is also going up. So
I've seen that meme. They're talking about
natural
America.
selection.
Um,
Anyway,
but yeah,
we
just social distance.
will now talk about our main topic for today, which is success.
Let's go to the call now.
Right, and we're on with our guests. We've got Asande Vilane and Rahil Samlal. Today we're going to be talking about success, because, these two people definitely know what that is. We're just giving them a big head.
Massive head.
And so this podcast is going to be a lot about you. And that's how we're going to talk about success. We're going to talk about you. And so to start us off, why don't you introduce yourselves? Let's start with Rahil, because Asande has been on the podcast before. So Rahil, go ahead.
Hi everyone, I'm Rahil. I'm 20 years old and I'm a second year student at the University of Pretoria, currently studying a BSc in medical microbiology, and I'm from a little town in KZN called Newcastle.
Nice, short and sweet. Love it.
Not
Asande?
like
I'm
the football
sorry.
club at
I,
all.
I feel like I need to add some things on Rahel's behalf.
Okay.
Rahel did not mention that he was actually invited to the Nobel Prize Awards in Sweden and he attended it. And he presented his project to some of the leading scientists in the world. Went to a
Okay.
science fair in the United States. I just felt like I needed to mention
Okay,
that.
okay, that's that. I have that in the notes. I can just touch on that. Currently,
Just brag
current-
about yourself for a second.
yeah, okay. Currently, I'm an ambassador for something called Synthetics. It's an international collaboration initiative basically combining synthetic biology and bioethics. And some of my accomplishments include being an alumnus for the ESCOM Expo for Young Scientists, representing South Africa at the Intel ISEF in the United States, as well as representing South Africa at the Nobel Prize Week in Sweden, where I met the 2018 Nobel Prize laureates, and I gave a presentation about my research at the Stockholm Youth Seminar. I've also received something called the Dr. Derek Gray University of Pretoria Award, which includes a bursary and that invitation to the Nobel Prize week. And that would sum it up.
To put it
Asande?
as a short understatement, go for it, Asande.
Go for it, Asande.
Okay, so hi everyone, my name is Asande and I'm a second year medical student. In my spare time, I run a blog that is focused on all things health, science, and social justice. And I also do the podcast with Rahil, where we discuss everything from science to current affairs, just like giving our viewpoints and opinions. So recently, which is like last year, I gave a TED talk on how research can be used as a means of economic empowerment, specifically in the African context. And I also participated in the National Model United Nations program, where I was on the UNEP, which is the Environmental Council, and I won Best Delegate, how I don't know. The thing I focus on most at the moment is being part of the rural support network at medical school. So we basically encourage healthcare worker retention in rural areas where they need it the most. And similar to Rahil, I'm an ESCOM Expo alumni, but definitely not as esteemed as he is. And people like to say that I had quite an interesting matric ride, but it's I just feel weird saying it. I'm gonna hand over to
say it.
Rahil. Please,
I can say it for Asande. Asande has constantly been in the top of her league, both with regards to sports and academics. Throughout the entirety of high school, in matric, Asande received the highest average for her matric final exams out of the whole country for IEB, Curro schools. She was number one out of thousands and thousands of students.
Number one.
And academically, Asande is extremely accomplished.
In the words of Drake, she's top 5, not
Top-
top 2. She's number 1.
Yeah,
I
and
butchered that Drake lyric.
as Galant and I would have said at the start of this podcast for the 14th time, we are two Mats who nobody is.
I'm a second year med student. Hector is a second year information system student. Our repertoire, we won a piece of glass 3 years ago.
Was it Articafia, was it?
Durbanville, Hoërskool Durbanville. Beste technische span.
Not even
is the official term, which is English for, which Afrikaans for best technical team. In other words, Hector now the best lighting and sound crew out there. Quite it means absolutely nothing and changes no one's lives.
Yeah. I've won the best technical award at my school for like 5 years in a row.
Same.
But doesn't mean anything.
I won it once.
Okay, fine. Yeah, whatever. Listen. So by the way, we didn't actually mention it. These two wonderful guests have their own podcast. Yeah, like they may have Asande mentioned, called the Dialogue Podcast. You can check it out on all the places: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor, etc., etc. Basically, if the platform plays podcast, it's probably on there. I think we'll jump straight into our little surprise speed round that Galant and I want to do. So basically, it's a bit of pop culture. It's a bit of an icebreaker to get us started. We like to be spontaneous. It took us hours to. Anyway, Galant, you starting us off. Get us started. I'll follow on your lead.
So, how it's gonna work is I'm going to say the question. It's very simple. You just have to say yes or no, or give the correct answer. You have a 1 second to answer. First thing that comes to mind. Okay.
If you don't answer, we're just gonna move on.
We're just gonna kick you out of the Zoom call, and you're gonna stop this interview if you don't answer. Okay. So, first question. Galant in editing adds dramatic music now. Okay, awesome. Dramatic music is playing, hopefully. First question. Beyonce or Adele?
Beyonce.
Adele.
Ed Sheeran or Drake?
Drake.
Neither.
Go on.
Choose one. Open up the economy or lock down and save lives?
Lockdown and save lives.
Yeah, lockdown.
Apple or Android?
Android.
Soulmates exist, yes or no?
Yes.
Sorry.
Soulmates exist, yes or no?
Anybody could be a soulmate. I don't know. Like, you just have to look at them in the most positive
Yes
light.
or
So I'm gonna
no,
go with the no.
Asande?
No.
Yes
Moving
or
on.
no?
No.
Moving on. Durex or choice?
Neither.
Neither.
No,
Wait, not
prediction.
neither. Not neither. Wait.
Moving on.
Something. Choose one.
Asande, I'd like to remind you, you are a med student. Just saying.
Okay, I think if I had to recommend one, I think choice is the most widely available. Choice.
Okay, sure. Go on.
Okay. Old Bruno Mars or new Bruno Mars?
Old Bruno Mars.
New Bruno Mars.
A
True
man
or
with taste right there, Rahil.
True or false? You should text your ex.
True.
False.
Very controversial question coming here. Abs or dad bod?
Asande, it's not like a calculus equation. I'm gonna say
I'm gonna go with abs.
I'm gonna go with dad bod.
Like
Yeah.
that. Netflix or chill?
Netflix, because I'm single.
Netflix, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you like the beach, yes or no?
Yes.
No.
Like that. Vine or TikTok?
Vine.
Vine.
Okay, final question. 2019 or 2020?
2019.
2019. No
And
doubt.
that is it for this round, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get to the main point of discussion today. So, like Hector said, you guys are successful in the things that you're doing and make the rest of us seem like we've been playing with our thumbs the entire time. So our main conversation today will be revolving around success, and more specifically success in the various essential parts of our lives, like social life, school life, love life, exercise, etc. So the first question, what does success mean to both of you?
Sunday, I think you should. We had a thing you should explain first.
So I think that success is making a meaningful difference. So in a field that you like, so I like writing and I like medicine, so I would like to make a meaningful difference in those fields. That's when I would consider myself successful. But a lot of people like to talk about success in monetary terms, and I think the version of success in monetary terms that I most agree with is the one that centers around wanting to be financially comfortable but still be in control of your time. So you're not necessarily like a slave to always wanting money. You have time for your family, for your spouse, for your side hustles, or just to chill. I think that would be a good monetary version of success. And I think it's important to discuss money because we're not going to be living with our parents or at university forever. So I felt like I had to like throw that in there.
I agree with everything Asante said. I just wanted to add that I think success can only ever be defined by you as an individual. And to me, what that means is doing the absolute best in a situation that you're given. So my brother said something. His name is Rahil. We're actually twins. He said something to me the other day, and it really resonated with me. I asked him, success came in the conversation, and he told me that to him, success is waking up every morning, making your bed, eating breakfast, and just facing the day. And I thought that was, I think, the best encompassing version of success.
I'm very successful in that regard. I'm extremely
Yeah.
successful.
I would
Top
just say
notch.
that success is simply answering the very broad question of whether or not you're happy. So
I agree with the Sunday with regards to making a difference. I just want to know that I left something behind and that I impacted someone emotionally and made them smile. My goal each day is to make someone smile and laugh. That's like the basic level of a successful day for me.
I ultimately agree with all of you, though. Yeah. By the way, we really don't want this to be an interview, so like, don't be afraid to break the barriers.
Convo.
It's
Okay.
just a
Got it.
DMC. Do you know what a DMC is, guys?
Deep, meaningful convo.
There you go.
There we go.
But I'll still keep some structure. I like order. At the end of the day, most of our generation is hindered by distractions and procrastination. Do these concepts feature in your lives? And if so, how do you deal with them? So do you experience procrastination or distractions?
Absolutely, every single day. For me, I struggle most with YouTube and Reddit specifically. The reason is
Relatable
people,
content.
right? People are stuck at home, or they just have so much time on their hands. They make such good content, and it's really thought provoking. Or even if it's stupid and silly, it's so good, and that really takes up a lot of my time. And the only way that I can actually do work is like putting my phone off and in another room, and just like forget that I have a phone, forget that I have a laptop, and then basically that's how I
So do you
avoid
work
procrastination.
offline then? Do you use like pen and paper?
Yes.
So no laptop even.
There's an
No,
argument
I feel
to the pen and paper thing, I guess.
yeah. I think for me, pen and paper works the best. If I have my laptop and I'm just typing away, I really don't remember what I type. If I type a really long thing, I'll have to read it a couple of times, but I'm the one who actually wrote it down or wrote it by typing it, and I don't remember it as well when I put pen to paper and I'm very consciously doing that one thing, writing, converting thoughts into words. That's how I avoid wasting time as well.
What about
Okay,
you,
so
Asande?
I agree in terms of procrastination distractions, but for me, it's not YouTube, it's not Reddit. Sometimes it's Quora, but not too often.
How does one use Quora as like a social media platform?
Only a
Is my
Sunday can use
question.
for.
Is there a list
How?
of people that you go through?
No, like it has interesting questions, like existential problems, and it's got a lot of medical students on there. So oftentimes the
Honey,
question
you should
relates to
join
medicine.
Reddit. You should do Reddit if you
Reddit
want
is
to
the
know
new
like
coder,
questions.
so...
You're missing out, a Sunday. You really are missing out.
Well, actually,
Okay,
don't join
I'll
Reddit if you want to save your life and your time. Don't do it.
I'll join
But
Reddit.
there are Reddit pages that are anti-suicide, so depends on what part of Reddit you go to.
I tend to hear about the conspiracy theories on Reddit, and that's why I was always like,
Well, it is what it is. It's interesting. It's content to consume. But other than like what other forms of distractions and procrastination do you go through?
Instagram chows my time. I will go on Instagram thinking that I want to scroll for 15 minutes. Then I'll be on some page talking about like women's health or like public health. Then I'll go scroll more. Then I'll be putting things on my status. Then I'll be like typing opinions. Then I'll be like going to Rahil's chat and I'll be like, what do you think about this? And like, no, it got to a point where I had to delete Instagram. And I allowed myself to access Instagram through my like internet app because it just looks so unattractive, the layout, and it glitches so much that you end up not scrolling for very long. So that's what I had to do in the final weeks of online learning. And
have you
yeah,
deleted it
no.
recently? Because I follow you and I see your stories that you post, and it wasn't a while ago
Yeah,
that I
same.
saw.
It was
Quite a-
22 hours ago, a Sunday.
I
It
love
was
your
the
Something
stories
posted
though.
something 10 minutes ago.
Listen, before you allege, I deleted Instagram 3 weeks ago for about...
But we talk every single day on Instagram.
Stop. Listen.
Who am I
Instagram
talking
has,
to?
Listen, the Safari Instagram has a DM feature, and that is how I respond.
They can't get the
Or
phone at the time.
listen, Linda. Sometimes what would happen is I would download Instagram just to see things or post things, then I delete it again. But that was the big problem. And I also found that sometimes having a to-do list, like, it helps you keep accountable, but sometimes it just doesn't work. Like, you just look at it and it's like, I don't know. I just feel like the way to overcome distractions and procrastination is knowing what your priorities are. So if you know this is you at this time and you want to do well, then you need to put effort into that. You don't need to-do list to tell you that. You just need to expect something of yourself every day and set a high standard for yourself. And if you don't meet that standard, you should be worried and try and fix that the next day. That's what
Ladies
works
and
for me.
gentlemen, I would like to do a shameless plug. We have a wonderful episode 12, where we talk about productivity frameworks and ways to hack your life. So go check that out. That's Too Much Stacking Conversation.
And it was
also our
me
Instagram
who
handle.
spoke about getting your priorities in order to stay productive.
The 135 method, iconic. I use it. It works, Stevens. It works.
Can you
I'll check it
explain
out.
the 135 method to us?
Yeah.
Can you give us like a brief overview.
Hector, go for it.
Hold on. I'll get to the document. I remember what it is.
I remember what it is.
It was something about pick one thing to do now, one small task or something. I don't remember. It is in my notes.
So the 135 method says if you have one massive task, right, you break it down into one big task, 3 medium length tasks, and then 5 quick short tasks that you can do very quickly.
That's it.
So then you spice it up. You do like one of the 5s, then a 3, then a 1, or 2 5s and a 3, or so on and so forth. You break it down in that way. So if you feel like, oh, I'm lazy, do the small task, and then you get, okay, I'm in the mood for working now. And you tackle the medium-sized ones, and then once you feel like I'm like in flow right now, then do the big task.
To summarize,
I think I use
one task that has to be done no matter what, 3 doable tasks that you should do, and 5 low effort tasks. That's what it is.
Okay.
I think I do that unconsciously. Sometimes I don't feel like working. I'll open my email and I'll respond to emails, and then I'll feel so productive when I'm responding to those emails that I'll end up opening like my slides for school, and I end up like doing things productive. So I guess that's what I do, because there are days I just don't feel like doing anything. So I'll just start with the most menial thing, and then I'll just be like, oh my goodness, this feels amazing. And then I'll just go from there.
You gotta hype
what
yourself
motivates
up
me?
before work.
What motivates me? The thought that if I fail, I have to pay another 100,000 rand for school, and face the disappointment of my parents, and then I'm like, yeah, I'm ready to work now. Let's go. So that motivates me.
You know what scares me? It's like, imagine you're like doing rounds with the consultant in like year 4 or whatever. So for people who are on medical, consultants is basically like a doctor, like the doctor, and he's busy asking you questions. The patient is looking you at the face, and you don't have the answers. That, for me, like that whole scene is just like, I can't stand it. I just need to. Wow.
No, you just throw the line, I'm not a doctor. That's the line.
Not a doctor. But
Also,
okay.
I had a question for Rahil.
Yes.
Rahil said that sometimes when he writes things down and he converts thoughts to things on paper, it stops him from procrastinating. But my thing is, sometimes when you're making notes, you're just like aimlessly copying. So how do you make sure that you're not aimlessly copying things down and you're actually concentrating and retaining that information?
So, very good question that I forgot to mention this information. What I do is, it seems like a lot of effort now, but it really isn't. Like, at the end of the day, you're really going to think yourself. This is why it takes so long to study, I think. You write the notes down almost word for word, or like you're just trying to summarize the paragraph, and then and that's just like untidy writing. And then that's like in a lecture. And then when you go back home, you'll have another book where you summarize that information again. And then that's actually what I study from. So that you don't necessarily lose the context, but you really just only getting down the information. So you're filtering what's most important. And when just before you study, you can't be reading the introduction of the textbook again. That's useless information. You need to really get down to what you just have to know.
So would you say that like when you're coming back from lectures, you actually do that every single day? You make summaries of all your lectures when you get home?
Yes, I do, because if I don't do it that day, I know I will never ever do it again. I won't do it on the next day. Yeah.
But I never get around to doing it. But I suppose that's how you get stuff done. So a question that Galant wanted to know is, so you getting into your work, he calls it the source that is the work grind. What do you do to have fun with friends, and how do you not get stuck in work all the time? So yeah, fun times. How do you do the fun?
Okay, so personally, when I'm back on campus, it gets to a point, and it's usually every Thursday, like Thursday night when I'm getting to bed, I can feel that I'm like, yo, that has been a week. And so every Friday I have a ritual where I'll come back from lectures, I will put my bags in my room, I will change from my school bag to my going out bag, and then I will go out. And by going out, I mean like go for coffee or like go for a stroll on the beach, those kinds of like little things. So I really enjoy that. And I just have this odd thing for walking around the mall. Like, I don't need to buy anything. I don't need to be looking for anything.
Yes.
Just going to a mall and just walking is just so relaxing to me. I love it. I don't know. Like, I just enjoy that. So I do that when I'm stressed or when I'm just overloaded. But something that I consciously schedule in is running time. I feel like if I don't run, like the moment I've missed 3 to 4 days of running, I start to feel lethargic. I can't concentrate. The mood is not there. So running literally is like my biochemical regulator and keeps me like fresh and going. And it's also fun because you can like listen to a podcast, you can listen to your favorite songs. So I would recommend running.
Asande, you have a lot of things to do. When I get overwhelmed, the first thing I do instead, I don't like run out of the apartment to like have fun because I feel like that's more effort than the work I'm currently doing. Um, the first thing I'll do is I'll call Asande. She's literally the first person I will call, and I'll say, Asande, I'm overwhelmed. And
Cute.
whenever I talk to her, I feel like I'm taking a big step back and I'm seeing the bigger picture. I'm part of the cogs that's making this whole machine work, and it doesn't matter if I fail or if something goes wrong, there's still tomorrow. And yeah, because sometimes students get very overwhelmed and feel very defeated. And as the quicker you're out of that rut, the better. And with regards to friends, well, pre-pandemic, just scheduling weekends for movies or going out for lunch or anything like that. And I guess now during lockdown, trying to have as many Zoom calls as we possibly can.
Can I just add
My Friday
something?
nights. Yeah, go for it.
So Rahul and I have these like hour or 2 hour long calls, and at the end of every call, we kind of hate that we didn't record it because it could have been a podcast episode. So we go for so long without a podcast episode, and we're having all these phone calls, and we're like, oh, we didn't record that, and it was that has been a very sore point of contention.
You should just use
It is,
Anchor
yeah.
to do your calls now, I think. From now
That's
on.
exactly what I was about to say.
Yeah,
Use
or we
Anchor.
should.
My
I think we
Friday.
should. No, I
You
think
go
we
for
should
it,
just
just
have
quickly.
Zoom calls. Yeah, I think we should just have Zoom calls. Whenever we want to plan to call, then we just record all of it.
Granted, I literally advocate for not using Zoom for personal reasons, but go for it.
Yeah.
If you must.
My Fridays are bring your son to work day. So I usually bring Hector to my campus on Fridays because I usually have Friday afternoons off. And so he comes and visits me, and then he stays by my side for the rest of the night. That's every Friday. It's exhausting. Absolutely
I've never seen
exhausting.
Hector on Med Campus.
It's because you
you know
always
what?
leave me Sunday.
You see, Asande, this is why we haven't met before. I've literally met all the med students, like even the ones that isn't even friends with Gilan. But that's just because I'm forward. But we spoke a lot about friends. Let's talk about family. My family tend to get in the way of my career since I'm working at home, I mean, specifically during lockdown. So I wanted to know, because I feel like I'm fighting to work, how do they support you? Or do they get involved? Do they get in the way? What's your family like, especially during the lockdown?
For me, as soon as I got home and as soon as I knew that the semester is going to be online, I booked one of the rooms in the house with the lock on the door that's the furthest away from the main house, and I just set all my stuff here because I have 3 other siblings. So like, we like do this thing where like, oh, I booked this room, I'm gonna be here today. So I just said, no, this is my office now. I'm here currently, and that's the first thing I did. Cut out my family, not in a bad way, cut them out of my work life so that
Yeah.
I don't have to help them. They don't have to be involved. But with regards to everything else, like with everything I mentioned before, the science expos, the traveling, my family's really been my biggest supporters. And they really, really, without them, I really wouldn't be anywhere near where I am today. And I really am so grateful for them. All the advice they give, and they're just always there. They're just always there. And I think that's really a blessing in my life.
That
That
definitely
speech started off
sounds.
insulting his family and
Yeah.
not getting supper. Then he saved
I had-
himself in the end.
I
and
had to
earned
make up,
himself
yeah.
supper.
Yeah, he's
So
definitely
I-
future-proofing his life there. Go for it, Asande.
I share similar sentiments to Rahul, although I'm an only child, so I don't need to book any rooms in the house. If my parents are at work, then every room I could like study wherever I want to. It's always quiet, so I don't have that issue. But I am lucky to have involved parents because they're in the field that I'm studying towards. So if I get stuck, I can just be like, guys, what is an aortic stenosis? And they can just explain things to me in a more simplified perspective. But also just looking at my blog, and other things I do, they often know
I'll
what
teach
I'm
you an
up to.
aortic stenosis is after this call, Hector.
No, it's fine. I got it. I know. Yeah, go on, Asande.
So like they know about my blog and they know about the other stuff I do on med school. So they'll often advise me, and like the biggest thing they advise me on is when I like publish a new blog post and they're like, okay, this might be a bit too out of your reach. Maybe you should avoid this topic until like you've read more about it. So more like gentle nudges, just like there's been a few celebratory nudges. There's been a few like, this is a great article, but there's also been a few points that like, okay, we need to maybe just read a bit more about this. And it's constructive criticism that I've appreciated over the years.
That's really cool. It sounds like your parents take interest not necessarily in you, but in the same subject matter that you are interested in, so they can get involved. That's really, really cool. But all this conversation, this bit of conversation has done for me is given me an excuse to blame my household of 7 on why I can't get any work done.
Yeah. For me, my parents are just my guinea pigs. So I just walk into the kitchen randomly and I start using them to study. And I just start teaching them concepts about biochemistry. And they're like, what the hell is urea? Because I just named the chemical compound. The other day, my mom came in because I've been talking so much about the heart. And then she told me about heart valves. And I was like, whoa, when did you become this smart? We're going to move on a little bit and take it to something that Sandy spoke about earlier, running, or more importantly, fitness. General exercises, it's good for you. But first question, do you guys do it? And then, does it benefit you? And then lastly, or is it a hoax just to fund the gyms? In other words, is exercise a total waste of time? What is everyone's opinion on the exercise and the sweating?
Okay, so I think exercise is beneficial, and I have found it to be personally beneficial, but particularly for your last question, is it a hoax to fund the gyms? It's during lockdown, I've suddenly discovered you don't need a gym for strength workouts or all that stuff. If you have a phone and you have an internet connection, you have YouTube, there are so many workouts you could follow along. Or if you want to buy some cheap equipment, there's cheap weights, there's like skipping ropes, there's lots of very minimal cardio and strength equipment you can keep in your house and use. Like I know at Res, what I have is one of those ab wheels, because I just feel like if I come back from a run and I'm always too lazy to do core, if I see the ab wheel, it's like, oh, let me just do like 5 minutes of this, and then that's how it gets done. So that would be one of my comments. But also, I think what could be daunting is that not everyone is an exercise person. And as much as it's been shown that like biochemically it's beneficial and this and that and the third, I feel there's certain people who just aren't exercise inclined. And for those people, I'd say just get outside, get vitamin D, go for a walk. I just think that everyone needs to spend a fraction of their day outside. I think it's beneficial. It just makes you feel slightly more relaxed and slightly more positive about the fact that you didn't understand what urea was earlier on.
Yeah, everything that Asande just said in her mini TED talk. And Asande is the fitness expert of our group. If I need advice, I go to her. If she gives advice, I'm taking it for free. Like, that's basically. But yeah, it is important just to touch on. I think people, when I've heard this a lot from friends I know, that they were very into sports in high school and they were exercising twice or 3 times a week, and when they got to first year, they were so overwhelmed with a new city. Maybe they're living in res, maybe their timetable's really bad, and they just stopped. And they said that as soon as they got back into that routine, they performed academically better. So there definitely is a lot of evidence that shows, yes, if you have good working body, your brain follows suit.
Well,
Hector, what do you think about exercise?
I have a lot to say. I feel like exercising and having that in my schedule makes me more productive, because if I don't feel like working, I'll say, okay, I'll exercise now, and then once I get that workout done, you get that like dopamine, wow, and then it's just like, okay, I'll work now. I feel like I want to work now. I want to be productive, and it's also great for relieving stress and anxiety, and just to take out that like built up energy that you've got that comes from the stress and whatnot. So that's why I exercise. I mean, and there's obviously, bodily gains. There's nothing yet, but eventually, yeah. So I love working out, especially you're so right about not needing to go to the gym. I work from this room. I work out in this room, with YouTube and the apps that you get for workouts. And if you don't have weights, you can literally grab like 5-liter water bottles or something. So yeah,
Or
definitely
your own body.
body weight
Or
workouts.
your own
My
body weight.
fave.
Body weight.
Yeah.
Body weight
Body
workouts.
weight is
That's where it's
body
at.
weight is nice. Yeah.
Other than
Hey,
that,
how much time do you have on the score?
Gallant, no. Gallant hasn't commented on his views on exercise, and I know he exercises. I feel like he's just keeping quiet in the corner deliberately.
I'm actually drinking glucose, literally, because I just came from a 12K run in the middle of the ghetto.
I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna stop everyone right there because this Zoom call's gonna end and Rahil just yeeted. Okay, the call's gonna end and then we'll take off from Galant's opinions.
Wait. Didn't you upgrade it to have unlimited minutes? Because I said okay to that.
Wait, did you just upgrade this? You right now, did you just do that?
Well, it's going
No,
on.
I thought Hector did it. Because there's, like, you know how it shows you in the corner that when the Zoom meeting is about to end, like, that's not happening. And my screen just said the host upgraded this to include unlimited minutes.
Oh,
It-
well, we're going
it-
then. We're just going.
It's going on anyway. Okay, we'll take it off from Galant's exercise opinions on exercise.
Yes, I will go back. Like I said, I'm drinking glucose because I do love me some exercise, and I just came from a 12K run. So I'm all about running, and of recent, because of lockdown, especially that month where I couldn't run, I started doing a lot more like bodyweight exercises, and so now I'm totally into that and trying to balance getting a running body and the abs that the Sunday likes, but without the gym that the Sunday hates.
I'm not a fan of I've never actually been to a gym, but it just seems too public, too many people watching me. I'm too insecure for the gym. I'm not gonna
Dude,
pay
those guys
that
are
much
huge.
money. Huge? What?
They're huge, bro.
Oh.
Gym sharks right
I
there.
thought you were making a daddy joke. Because you've seen things in the gyms from what I've heard. Anyway.
I have seen things in the gym. It's wild.
I have a very important question for everyone in this call. Do you do? I imagine you do schedules, and my question to you is, how do you not waste your time? Because I waste my time. So how do you not waste your time? Either one of you.
For me, I just try and write everything down. But going back to what Asande said, it just because it's written down on a list doesn't mean you're going to do it. I think when you can find a way to visually see how much work you have and how much work you've done, then that will kind of give you an incentive to get started. I think the most difficult thing when it comes to not wasting time is to get started. And it's very simple sounding, but it's the most difficult thing. It's hard to get started. It's hard to finish something. I think as soon as you just get going, you're going to want to finish it. Or it's better than having it halfway done than not done at all, I think.
Okay. I hear you. What is that you said, Galant? It's better. It's almost like when you spoke about even if you do it badly or something, just do it anyway type of thing.
If it's worth doing, it's worth doing poorly.
Well,
Yeah.
I heard that. Yeah, I live by that most days.
This man's a fan of our podcast. I love it.
Love that. Go for it, Asande. Do you have anything to say?
Okay, so I usually schedule my days. Like, I'll usually write down things that need to be done for each day, but it's fluid. So, like, if I get home today and I told myself that I would do biochem, but I don't feel like doing biochem, I actually want to do pharmacology because today's lecture felt very off for me. I need to revise that. Then you can just swap things around. The one thing that cannot change my schedule is my runs. Like, if I said I'm doing a 5K today, that's happening. Unless I'm too overwhelmed, I need to swap it with, like, a shorter session or whatever. But, generally, I've just felt like schedules are very helpful during times of low stress. But because when you're building to a test, like, you know what needs to be, you don't need a schedule. Maybe what you need is, I like having a list of topics I need to cover. And at the moment I've covered the topic and I can, like, scratch it off, that feels nice. That actually feels better than having, like, a weekly schedule. But I just kind of bounce between what I need in that moment, depending on stress levels and what I would like to achieve with whatever's coming up.
Okay.
Yeah, schedules don't work for me either. I like just a list of things I have to get done in this week, and I can take
Yeah.
it off as I go along. And in terms of figuring out my time, exercise time stays the same. At 5, I'm running or doing whatever is happening. That's not negotiable. And so that's kind of nice because I know I have a certain amount of time to get things done. And that added little bit of pressure is kind of, it helps me to get things done.
Okay. Clearly, I'm the only one who struggles with paying attention and whatnot. I actually need a very stringent schedule, because if I don't plan out my day, I will lose track of time and not get anything done. That's me on schedules, basically. Galant, move us on.
I'm gonna move on to the topic of side hustles, because this is the hot topic for university students. Everyone wants to know what you're doing on the side, because being a student in whatever degree you're doing is just not enough ever, apparently. You always have to have something going on. So how do you guys manage your time with regards to getting your side hustles? How do you go about choosing your side hustles? And do you make, if you're willing to disclose, any money from the side hustles, and any tips for anyone? Yeah.
Okay, so currently the only side hustles I have is the podcast, the blog, and whenever other opportunities come my way that I want to take. I have not made money from them, but the site that I have my blog on allows you to make money from it. The problem is that the way the site works is it hasn't partnered with a South African bank as yet, so they can't give payments directly to South African writers, which is a problem, I think. So I haven't thought of making money from it yet. Although, in terms of money making side hustles, I think every high school student has done this. Like, the moment you finish with a grade and you don't need any of the books, you just sell them, you advertise, you push hard, you bargain, and then I love doing that in matric. Like, I just auctioned off everything. It was amazing. And how do I pick my side hustles? It depends on what your interests are. Like, I think sometimes people do side hustles out of I need money, and some people do side hustles out of I need a hobby. So I feel like you just need to see what you need the side hustle for, and I wouldn't go for anything and everything. I would go for what you like doing if it's a hobby thing, and if it's in terms of money, is it something you can fit in with your uni schedule that will still give you a reasonable remuneration for whatever reasons you need.
Okay. What about you, Rahil?
For me, the two main things are the podcast and then the organization I'm working for, that's Synthetics, and I don't make any money from those two things. But there's another thing. I actually make and sell notes from my university courses, and that's how I make a lot of money from that, especially like May and October, just before the exams start around for uni students. And yeah, that's basically how I make money. I think when choosing a hobby, try as much as you can, if you're a student, to kill two birds with one stone. But if you really can't do that, then do something that fits within your time. You know, make your hobby work for you, not the other way around.
Yeah. Galant, do you have any side hustles that I don't know about?
Davis, I didn't want to break this to you. No.
You've secretly
mainly
been making money off the podcast.
Literally, I the bank details are all mine. And I'm making all the money. No, this lockdown showed that I don't have a lot of hobbies that don't involve like I can do from home. So the podcast is really great. And then besides like playing music, like playing guitar almost every day, that's pretty great way to pass the time and to like relax.
I didn't know you played the guitar.
I do
Don't
many
ask
things.
him questions.
Do you play classical or acoustic or
He's
electric or
acoustic-ish, right?
Acoustic. Although I'm playing classical, but I don't like it. And
Same.
then I did jazz for a while,
Jazz
and
is
then
great.
that was lit. Jazz is great. And then
Jazz is
now I'm
nice,
just doing
yeah.
acoustics.
Because I played
but
classical
yeah.
for 3 years, but now I feel like I want to try some jazz. It just
Jeez,
looks
what
way
does
too
this
fun.
girl not do? Can't.
No,
Did you do
Asande
ballet?
had a. Asande didn't. What? Asande did do ballet. Asande, did you?
I did ballet when I was like
You did
5 or
ballet.
6. It
Yeah,
was like
you
a
still
long time
did do
ago.
it.
It was when everyone was doing ballet.
But I remember
basically
you.
flipping the tables.
I remember Asande had a music phase where she just like played music. That was like her thing. Yeah, I remember that in high school. Wow.
So I've done nothing with my life, but that's okay.
That's okay.
That's,
Can I throw in a random topic? Like it just came now. Okay, I'm throwing it.
sorry?
I'm throwing in a random topic.
Go for
It
it.
matches with. Okay, so you were saying, what have I done with my life? And then I think you said something like nothing yet. And my whole thing with success is like, I think success is a measure of time. Because what if you follow up someone and then in 2025, like, I don't know, they're living in a very obscure place and they were like, well, 5 years ago and such and such and such. Which is why I think it's interesting because someone could be successful today, but not tomorrow. I don't know. Like, do you guys have any thoughts on that? Because I just find it very weird when that happens. Like, how did that happen?
We have a podcast episode called episode 12, Why This Podcast Sucks, and we talk about the idea of next up forever. But basically, we talk about peaking, and so we always say you want to always have something in line for you to do, like something new that you're not necessarily great at, that you can excel at. And you don't want to, and once you excel at something, don't just stick in that thing. Try pivoting and moving on, and always having a mountain to climb. Otherwise, you will sort of fail by succeeding. That makes
It's
it
kind
easy.
of like never reach an ultimate goal. Kind of.
Yeah.
Always set
Yeah.
new goals.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you'll lose purpose. Go for it.
I struggled in high school with this. At the end of matric, I felt so much with my life, everything I mentioned. And then I thought that my first year of university was quite dull with regards to any kind of achievements. And it's because I had this idea in my mind that I peaked in high school. And then I realized, okay, that's not the right mindset to go about it. Everything is just a stepping stone and until something more. And yeah, you're absolutely right when you say don't make this goal today the ultimate goal.
Yeah, it's all about pivoting. You could easily have thought that was your moment in high school, but now success will look a bit differently for you now, and that's perfectly fine. Shall we move on to Hector's favorite topic? He calls me about it at least once a week. Love, LOVE.
Next week we are
So-
doing next week when we do episode 15, we already first time ever that we have so many we've got episode 13 at this time of recording. It's not out yet, but it's done. We're doing this as episode 14, and then we already have a plan for episode 15. We're very productive when it comes to these.
I've got one for 16 in the bag.
Wow.
I
So
know.
next week for episode 15, we're going to be talking about love, and I don't want to get too much into it because I don't want to cover the content for that. But this love is kind of personal, as you know. Do you fit it into your personal life? How do you do that? How do you deal with love while working? Let's start off with that. We'll go into depth. So basically, how do you make love fit into your life? Not necessarily
How do you
with
make love?
How do you
That's the
make love?
soundbite.
Yeah. That's what
yeah, that's ultimately the question. Go for it.
Your extra choice.
Asande, do you wanna or should I?
I think you should take the wheel first.
Okay, I found it very hard to date in high school, and I was pretty focused on my work. I very much had a one-track mind in high school, and during my first year of university, as I mentioned before, I was so overwhelmed with how new everything is, and I really just forgot about relationships. I don't think I'll say no to anything in the future, and I think it's kind of your own journey you need to go on, and you can't just avoid it completely. See how it goes. It depends on where you are at your life and what your preferences are, basically. And I know Asande has a much deeper, convoluted answer to give. So
Okay, so I don't think that having a relationship is in any way a distraction. But my thing it has to be a relationship where you're actually both serious. Like, you cannot be playing with my time, because that's when things become distractions.
Yes!
When it's having fun and doing this, that's when you start saying, oh, I don't have to study tonight to go. No, we both have to be serious. We're both in uni. We're both getting the bag. We're going to grow each other. You tell me when I'm wrong. I tell you when you're wrong. That's when you can have a relationship and not be distracted. Now, I am not single by choice. I am single because me and the field aren't aligning at the moment. It's like...
Single life. We 4 singles. We are all single. That's
I'm
kind of
serious.
sad.
Like,
And we are talking
Like,
about
it-
love.
it's like,
Yeah.
I just, what I'm saying is, if you like the sound of my voice, please hit me up on Instagram. But also, I think that,
Oh, wow.
but also at Asande Vilane. But also, I think that, if you're having a stable, conducive relationship, it shouldn't be a problem.
I agree with you, Grant. Are you taking notes? Are you taking notes, friend? I'm so sorry to Grant's future partner. As of the last episode, I actually said if anybody is interested in applying for a place in Grant's life, please contact the committee. It's at Matthew Hector on Instagram, and we'll get you through to Grant. Do you guys think that love is dead? And you can apply your own context to that question.
I don't think love is dead in one society. People often like to say that the kind of relationships that are coming out of our generation are less meaningful than the ones that are happening from the previous generation. So I know that that's the context in which people say this. I don't think love is dead. I just think that people have a different view to relationships. People have the mindset that when you're young, you just need to have fun, experiment with what you want, and only later you settle down. So I think people conceptualize relationships as like, I'm not with this person by choice. I'm settling down. It's because I was done with having fun or whatever. And I just think that if you were to reconceptualize what a relationship means, love wouldn't be as dead as people think it is. So I don't think it's dead, but I do think that it might take a while to come across.
Wow, okay.
Love is lust for most people.
Yeah,
Hey.
yeah. And is that wrong though? Is that like less than?
Do you know what you need? Do you know what you actually need? Is the 1,400 bottle of oxytocin that's on Amazon. That will solve all of your problems. You feel like you want a relationship, and then
Yeah.
easy, done.
Because they sell
Wow.
You're good.
dopamine.
No, that's really expensive. But just get oxytocin. It's good enough. Like
Yeah,
Okay.
that's how a scientist solves
we
people
his
that
gave
want
you
problems.
cuddles.
In the speed round, we asked if soulmates exist. Do you want to go into Asande? You were ready. Do you want to go in?
Okay, so I know that I said that love exists, but in the speed round I said that soulmates don't exist. I said no. And I said it because I think that from the viewpoint of a lot of people I know, how do I say this? You can literally manipulate how you see someone in your mind. Like, you can go from I don't like this guy to oh my goodness, this guy's amazing. So from that viewpoint, I wouldn't think that soulmates exist. But in terms of love itself existing, I do think it exists. I don't know if I'm making sense, but I've just seen this whole soulmates thing. People just, yeah. Mm-mm.
Are you basically saying you can fall in love with anyone?
Yes.
Thank you.
Soulmates are made. They don't exist. They are
Just,
made
yeah.
through experience and heartbreak.
Aren't you contradicting yourself? I'm just saying. Rahil, do you want to comment?
I said in the speed round that soulmates exist. I said that only because I think humanity doesn't have a lot going for it right now. So they really need something. They need something small, just a little crumb of hope. So I'm just going to say yes, and there's no evidence needed. Nobody needs to go do a study. Just believe that it is true.
Take
And
his word.
yeah, because we're sad these days, guys. We really are.
Mathematically, soulmates do not exist.
Hmm?
I mean, just using math and logic, the idea of one person being perfect for you it just doesn't work.
Can you
people
disprove
say
that, though?
People
3,000
say
people.
they are like
Mm.
3,000 soulmates, but that doesn't linguistically make sense. But anyway,
Yeah.
Okay,
Galant,
Mr. Linguist.
Galant, wake up.
Yes.
Hi, how are you?
I'm here. Hi. What's up?
Take us on.
Breakfast.
I
so
nothing.
we've spoken. That's very bad. Breakfast is the best part of the day. Okay.
I don't do breakfast. Do you guys do breakfast?
Yeah. Asande?
Breakfast, as I think guys froze on my screen, so I was like, what?
Do you do breakfast?
No, I don't usually eat before 11 or 12. Um,
Oh wow.
And- and-
Okay.
Intermittent fasting team.
exactly, yes. But
Mm.
how it happened is, when we came back from varsity and there was that long period of time between coming back from school and like starting school again, and I wasn't setting alarms, so I was just waking up super late. So I would like stop eating early the night before, but I'd wake up later than usual. So that even when I started going back to waking up early, I just didn't feel hungry. Like my body still thought like it was, I don't know how to explain it, but by sleeping more than usual, I ended up intermittent fasting, not by choice. And then I went back to my sleep schedule. My body still wasn't ready to take in breakfast at like 8 a.m. Like, that's way too early.
There you go.
That's fair. I think I'm gonna move us on to the most essential topic for you guys as two highly functioning individuals that are highly successful on other people's standards, not necessarily your own. How do you guys, prevent yourselves from being consumed by the grind, the source, the anxiety and depression that is school and work and being productive and trying to make a difference? It's not easy. So how do you prevent yourself from being consumed by this? Question number one. And then question number two is, how do you deal with the anxiety and all the pressures that either come from within yourself and your own goals, or external sources like bursary people, you have to get a certain mark, or from your parents, or anything along those lines?
That's a really tough question, I think, because it's so individualized, and I know you're asking us, but it's not
What
something
you're
that's not
basically
something that
saying
I
is
yeah.
bold of him to assume that you prevent yourself from being consumed by it.
It's like, welcome to my podcast, because I know all about this topic.
A little bit of that actually. No, I'm joking. It's I think that I'm like that I subconsciously just know when something's getting too much, and I more often than not pull back before I know I'm sinking. So even though things might be bad and anxiety's up there and there's pressures to get marks and make everyone proud and please everyone, I leave. I've learned to recognize just before that happens, and then I cool down. And I think just I need to remind myself, okay, you can't please everyone, and at the end of the day you can only do what's right for you. And that's basically how I get through that. Also, I just call Asande, talk to her for 2 hours, and then she'll just make me feel better, basically.
That's cool.
Everyone, just get Sunday's number. And once you have a conversation with her, you will fall in love with her.
Why don't you
So I think
start
Asande-
like a, what is it, anti-agony type of thing, and you can just solve the world's
Oh.
problems.
Agony.
Yeah.
Agony aunt,
please-
you mean? Oh,
yeah, we're putting
I think
Asande's
it's
number
agony
in the
aunt.
show notes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I agree with Rahil. I remember last year it got to a point that I was just super stressed. I don't know if Gallants remember, there was a time where we had a test on a Monday and it got moved back to the Friday, and I was just out of my mind.
Yo.
So I remember calling Rahul and Boka, and I'd be like, "Can you believe what just happened?" And I would just like rant, and then either they laugh or we talk about stuff, and I just feel better at the end of the call. But in terms of stopping the anxiety and the grind, I don't know if I'm good at that. But what I started doing is like whenever I get stressed, I'm like, well, everyone's stressed, and it's like, oh, okay, well, everyone's stressed, so whatever, and you just move on because everybody is stressed. Firstly, secondly, sometimes you just have to realize that you're anxious because you're expecting a certain thing of yourself, and it's like, I remember I would push as hard as I could before an exam, but the morning of is like you've done all you could do. There's no point in stressing now. You just have to go into the exam room and write whatever you can on that paper. There's just no point. It comes to a point where your stress is not going to give you returns. And different individuals reach that point at different times. For me, it's like in the 3 days or the morning of a test, it's like, you know what, I'm not going to stress. I have these topics to do. Let me just do them. Because when you stress, you actually get so emotionally like out of it that you can't even focus. So I'd rather just like forget about that and focus on the mission, laser it down, whatever. And yeah, I don't think I'm a very good person to ask this question because a lot of people have always been the ones to be like, okay, I think you need to calm down, you're gonna burn out. But that's just typically what I do.
That's an interesting perspective. Just to clarify, are you basically saying that rather than letting the stress consume you, you just cup on regardless because it has to get done.
Yeah.
What a brilliant way of putting it. Cup on regardless is a motto of life. In fact, it was a motto of my life in matric. And Hector, do you remember marks in matric and how I almost died? But I still wrote. I got really sick in my marks. I had a viral infection which turned to a bacterial infection. It got so bad that I would literally study for 12 hours a day. I didn't take any cough syrup because cough syrup would make me drowsy and I couldn't study then because
Just
that
listen
was
to how
going through my mind.
insane this guy is.
So I would study, right? And I'd cough, cough, cough. And then I'd be like, oh God, I need to vomit now. And I'd go to the toilet. I'd vomit. And then I'd get back up. And I'm like, wash my face, sit down, study again.
No.
And then go,
I did that
go.
once.
I coughed so hard that I actually got bloodshot eyes for like 2 weeks. 3 doctors booked me off. And I'm like, no ways. I'm going to finish my mocks because I want to get into medical school. All my doctors are like, you're going to kill yourself. I'm like, watch me get into
Kill
med school.
myself.
I'm going to be fine. Yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
So
Was that
I'm
the
here in med
period
school.
when you were coughing in the exam room and I wanted to leap across the exam room to strangle you? Is that the same period of time?
Yes, that's when I was just coughing vehemently in the
Because
exam.
Galant
People thought I was
sat next
dying.
to me in the exam room, not by choice. That was, she just happened to sit
Yeah.
next to me, alphabetically speaking, and I wanted to strangle him for coughing.
Do you know our graded and my math teacher and the bio teacher came to me, sat me down and said they're not gonna let me write. And I said, no, I'm writing. But they were like, you need to stop. You need to go home and rest. And I'm like, I can handle this. Everyone's stressed out. I was like Asande, everyone's stressed out. So why shouldn't I be stressed out too? I can do this.
I can kind of relate. I remember at school, this happened twice, both in matric. I don't know if it was PMS or food poisoning because they overlapped, so I couldn't differentiate them. But what happened is I would vomit, and it was every 4 hours. So I would puke, and then as Gahan, then you do the whole like wipe your face thing. And I remember I was writing English, so those 17 poems, and I would go back and like hammer those poems. Then 4 hours later, I'd vomit again, and then it just happened for like that for like twice. It wasn't that bad though. I think on the second time you get used to it, you're like, okay, this is how it's gonna run. But I have never coughed until I had bloodshot eyes. I would definitely have been as concerned as your teachers. I just
My
had a very
math teacher,
persistent
'cause I
cough
couldn't
that
see out of
Rahil
my
was worried about.
Wow, who are you people? I had a flu the day before our English paper
Whoa,
2
we-
exam. No, legit. Because I had the flu and I was like, no, I'm not gonna write, gonna get that letter, gonna do this up because I had the flu.
Yeah.
I was like not into it, like 3 hours essays. I was like feeling a little bit tired. Oh damn. Okay,
If
I
you're
shouldn't
sick,
have.
you literally have an excuse to rest and maybe even have more study time if you want.
Sometimes you just gotta get it done. Sometimes like, do I really wait a week? And
Exactly.
if you get the extra week, you'll still study the day before.
Agreed. Yeah.
So-
yeah.
Yeah.
I just wanted to get it done, dude. That's what it was. I knew I could do it.
Galant, can I
I
ask
still
you a
believe.
question?
Yeah, go for it.
So when you had bloodshot eyes, did you cough with such a force that the blood vessels in your eyes, like...
I coughed to such a force that my intracranial pressure increased, and that caused bloodshot eyes.
Sorry, my
That's-
eyes are
that's
Yeah,
that.
Hector.
all the way back.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was also
Shifting
highly
gears.
malnourished.
Shifting gears. How do you
Top
reward
gear.
yourself for a job well done? What's your treat?
I-
What's the thing you work
Oh.
towards? Go for it.
If I have finished, so of late with this online learning thing, we have MCQs every 2 weeks. So once I've submitted that MCQ, I will put on my running shoes and I will run a long run. So a long run could be anything, literally. Like, I just run for as long as I want to. And that's kind of like, because in the days preceding, you have to like cap your runs so that you have enough time to run and study. So then when I'm finished that MCQ, it's like, okay, I'm running now. And then I'm running till whatever point.
Why are
Another
you
thing I used to
running?
do...
Because it's fun, Hector. You'll understand when you start running.
Exactly. Other thing I used to do back in med school is I would finish an exam. I wouldn't even go back to my room because when you write an exam, you just have like your little stationery. So just put that stationery in my handbag, get an Uber. I am going to the beach or a coffee shop or a mall. Like, that was nice.
Let's go on the beach. Wow.
Oh, must be nice to
don't-
live in Cape
We
Town.
don't like the beach.
Yeah.
We've had the beach for 19 years. We are over it. Like,
It's a sandy mess. What about you, Rahil?
yeah.
It's gonna sound weird, but when I feel like I've done enough work, I just do nothing. Like I'll sit here 45 minutes and I'll just stare into blank space and I'll just be with my thoughts because they've been pushed aside. I don't know if that's healthy or not, but like I'm
Not at
still
all.
here
It's not
functioning,
healthy at all.
I guess.
No, that's.
I think
Well,
it's
I'll
healthy.
I think that's.
No,
I'll just
Galant,
watch
you don't
Netflix.
get to speak on mental health because you are also you have a tendency to do unhealthy things. But we're not.
Like what?
We're not gonna get into
Dude,
that.
when the test is over, I do some more work. Let's not lie about this. And then I get to like sleep that night. That's pretty rewarding. I think I have
Okay.
very bad reward systems.
I don't. I if I actually didn't think about this, but I don't think I reward myself. I'm
Because you
always
never do a
rewarding
job well
myself.
done.
I'm gonna smack you. I always reward myself all the time for the smallest things. I'm like, oh, you got up today. Good,
Yeah.
you. Sit back, pat on the back.
You took a breath. Oh my word! Look at you. I peed. That means my kidneys are working. Oh my gosh!
Indeed.
Amazing.
I'm so grateful. As Ariana Grande talks about success, what is it like to be successful? Tell us
So
about
successful.
tell us about your lives. What's your sleep schedule like? Do you have one? Have you ever pulled an all-nighter such that you don't sleep at all for like 48 hours? I do that. I used to do that. It's really bad for you, but you must have done it at least once. Have you done it? What's your sleep schedule like? What's your lives like? What are your lives like?
With regards to the what is it like to be successful question, I think that's a really flattering question, and I never know how to respond when people ask me this. Not that people ask me it a lot. Don't get it twisted. um, I just
Don't get it
think
twisted.
in the conventional sense, I'm seen as a successful person, and it's also weird to me when somebody messages me or meets me and they're like, "You inspire me," and I'm not very used to that. Like, what am I doing? I need to really watch my actions of who I'm inspiring, and what does it feel like? It feels strange. Like there's so much things that I still need to do in life, so many people I need to meet, so many lessons I need to learn. And with regard to the sleep schedule, there is none because clocks don't exist, and I don't know what the day to
Time
day
is a
is.
construct.
And yeah,
Social
exactly. I honestly, it's going to sound really bad, and I'm exposing myself to everyone right now. I just sleep when I feel tired, and I just wake up whenever I wake up, and that's basically the past 3 months. Yeah.
So what time have you been
Doing
waking
exactly
up
the same.
if you're on average?
So some days it's like nice where I go to sleep at 10 and I'll wake up at 7, but then that's like the very few days. Other times sleep at like 8 a.m. and then I'll wake up like in the afternoon and then I'll start work until like 4
I
a.m.
thought I was bad.
This
I thought I
man
was
is
bad.
on the night shift. This man's on the night
That's
shift.
what my family actually says. Yeah, I'm doing night shift because I'm always awake up till like 5 a.m. doing work. I'm still sleeping for like 7-8 hours, just inverted. Yeah.
I kind of like working at those hours of the night. What about you, Asande?
Mm.
Okay, so firstly, how's it like to be successful? Same with Rahil. I don't really consider myself to be just where I want to be in life yet, so it's always weird when the question comes in its various forms. But I don't know how to answer it. I think it means different things to different people, and I think it's just fulfilling when you get to do something that you enjoy and you get to be recognized for that. That's what I can say. With regards to the sleep schedule, I don't have one either. There are some really good days where I sleep at midnight and wake up at like 7. But I actually like sleep at 4 most of the time, and then I'll wake up at like 12. So I don't really like that schedule, but it happens, and I'm always rested. So I
Can
guess
I
I'll
tell
just
you
keep working with it.
how relieved I am to not be the only one with that kind of sleeping schedule? I really thought I was crazy.
It's 2 a.m. I'm the 2 a.m. guy.
I'm a
That's suddenly
a three or
vibe.
4 type of guy.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm a
three is a good
3-4.
time.
Yeah.
Ah, my people.
But-
Dude, when ask Hector, if I am awake past 3, bad decisions get made, and
We're not talking about that. We're
Great
not
time.
talking about that.
Yeah.
We're not talking about that
As
today.
Ted Mosby said on How I Met Your Mother, nothing good ever happens after 1 a.m.
Oh, big facts.
I-
Big facts.
Speaking
Yes.
of 1 a.m., I used to pull a lot of all-nighters in high school. I have never pulled one in university. All-nighters, eesh, guys. It has to be really bad for you to do one. I don't think it pays off at all. I remember one particular end-of-year exams in grade 11. I was the kind of person that didn't like studying in advance because I just felt like, you learn it, then you forget it, whatever. So I liked to study as close as possible to the exam. But in grade 11, I made the mistake of making it too close to the exam, and I still wanted to do well. So what ended up happening in the second week of exams is we had chemistry, paper 2, all the content heavy things, and I didn't really sleep much. I remember the one time I wrote chem, came back, paper 2, I used to have this habit of rereading the entire novel from start to finish, doing my own analyses, and obviously that takes a while. I slept for
Just
30 minutes
habits.
and it wasn't asleep. It was just lying in bed just to give yourself the notion that you have slept. I would always wake up after having a shower. I remember it got so bad during that exam cycle that I felt sleepy during a math paper. I had to go to the toilet just to walk to wake myself up. And that whole experience, you don't need to put yourself through that, guys. No, it's
I
not
remember-
worth it. It was
I know those
it was
toilet
fun,
walks.
but
I know
yeah,
those
no,
toilet walks.
it's not a good thing. It's not good for you. Don't
It's
do
like
it.
we've been awake 24 hours.
They don't get
Um,
Drake references, Karan. These
They
people...
don't get the Drake reference. And it isn't to stay up 24 hours so they can make a Drake reference where it's slightly been awake 24 hours. I'm waffling, fam. Which has been... myself and Nick to speak in Drake lyrics most of the time.
Yes. I've been neglecting Drake, but he's been neglecting me with good content.
It's only because I've been
Exactly.
working on the
Damn.
weekend like
Yes,
usual.
Hector.
What's that?
It's
I
only
agree with
because I've been
Hector.
working on the weekend.
Okay, Grant. I hear you with your lyrics. Grant, how about you end us off?
Yes. So, ladies and gentlemen, friends, family, loved ones, and our enemies who are listening because they're haters and going to give us dislikes on YouTube. I see you, people. I see you. They gave us 2
do we have
dislikes. I see you.
dislikes?
We have 2 dislikes. I see you. I will find you, you dirty pig.
Dirty
okay.
pig.
So, the moral of the story is that it's important to get lost in the source. In fact, we think you should get lost in the source. Getting lost in the source is not a bad thing, like people make it out to be. But, big but, massive but. The
I like
question
massive
is,
butts, and I cannot lie.
is the source, it's my moment to shine, boy. Is the source going to make you a successful individual, or will it make you a family disappointment that your auntie and aunts use when talking to the grandchildren and say, don't be like your Uncle Matthew? Not that discussion's ever happened before. It has. But yes, people, get lost in the source, be successful, focus on your grind, and define success for yourselves. That's what's important. You only need to be successful to yourself, not other individuals. Otherwise, your life will be sad. Thank you so much for tuning in for Too Much Stuck in Conversation, episode 14. Can our guests please plug themselves, Rahil? Go for it.
Just Instagram at Rahil Samlal. And I just want to say thank you guys so much. You've been wonderful hosts. Everybody go listen to this podcast from episode 1. Binge it, please.
I like that.
Sunday?
Instagram at Asande Vilane, and I will put the TED Talk description in the show notes, or I will give it to Matthew and Matthew, who will then put it in the show notes description. And yeah, as Rahul said, you guys are really good hosts, really good podcasters, binge-worthy content, and I'm excited to see where your podcast goes.
Yeah.
Thank you. I am a fan of your podcast as well. I actually fell asleep to it this morning, catching up with the
Is
latest
that a good
episode.
or bad thing if you fall asleep to a podcast? Does it mean it's good or bad?
I dreamt things. I'm kidding. Anyway, thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for joining us today, guys. We really appreciate it. We'll probably have you on in the future. That being said, very grateful. Thank you so much. This has been Too Much Stuck in Conversation. Goodbye.
Good night, everyone.
Bye.